I've had a lot of financial coaching clients come to me because they've inherited money or they're going to be inheriting money and they don't know how to handle it, which sounds like a nice problem to have, but it can be very stressful, especially when you need to invest that money well to be able to live on it and not blow it. Like, you've probably heard stories of lottery winners that have these huge paydays and then end up going bankrupt within a few years of winning the lottery. According to the CFP Board of Standards, about 1/3 of lottery winners end up declaring bankruptcy. And lottery winners are more likely to declare bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years than the average American. In terms of inheritance specifically, I just saw a study that found that more than 1/3 of people who inherited money saw no change or even a decline in their wealth after getting an inheritance. I don't want that happening to you, especially if you're depending on this money to support yourself. So in this video, I'm gonna guide you step by step through how to invest in inheritance wisely. By the way, if we're just meeting, I'm Penelope Jane Smith, and I run a coaching and training company called Real Prosperity Inc. that provides women with the financial education that they never got at home or in school growing up, so they can make smart money decisions, build generational wealth, and ultimately become financially free. In over 20 years of teaching and coaching people around finances, I have seen way too many smart, fabulous women receive an inheritance and make bad decisions that jeopardize their financial future, sometimes without even realizing it. And I can't tell you how many women have said they wish they'd met me before that happened, which is why I'm sharing this video. So before you buy a new Tesla or pay off debt or hire a financial planner, the very first step to investing in inheritance wisely, after tapping the like button on this video, is to park the money somewhere safe until you have the emotional reserves and financial literacy to take the next step. This could be a savings account, ideally a high yield savings account or a money market account where you can earn some interest as long as it's insured by the FDIC if you're in the US, the CDIC if you're in Canada, or the FSCS if you're in the UK. You just want to make sure you have an account where your money is protected from the event of a bank failure. If the money is already in a tax-sheltered retirement account like an inherited IRA, you don't need to take the money out, okay? But your first priority in the beginning is capital preservation, which means keeping your money safe and not losing money. Because one of the biggest secrets to protecting and growing your money faster is to control your losses. No one talks about this, because it doesn't sound fun, it doesn't sound sexy. We like stories of people investing every cent they have in Bitcoin and becoming millionaires, or learning to trade options and make a 1,000% return on their investment. But when you lose money, it takes more than you might think to make that money back. Here's a chart that shows how much money you need to make to recover from losses at different rates. The bigger the loss, the more difficult it is to recover. Like if you lose 50%, and then gain 50%, that sounds like you should be back where you started, right? But actually, if you lose 50%, you have to make 100% just to break even. So it's important to slow down and not make any big financial decisions right away. The next step is to give yourself the time, space, and compassion to process emotionally. If you're inheriting money from someone you love and were close to, you might need time to grieve. You might not be in the best shape to make big financial decisions, and you might want to get some grief counseling, therapy, or other healing support first. And depending on your relationship with the person you're inheriting money from, there might be other emotions you need to process. You might also have emotional stuff come up just around having this money, completely independent of where it came from. If this is a lot more money than you've ever had before, you might want to do some inner work around expanding what I call your money bucket, which is how much money you can energetically hold and comfortably manage in your life. If your money bucket isn't big enough to handle the amount of inheritance money that's coming to you, it's like pouring water into a bucket that's already full. It'll just spill out, and that's not what you want. There are a lot of great transformational modalities that can help you with this, and You probably already have some that you like and know work for you, like hypnotherapy or emotional freedom technique, which is also called tapping, whatever you like. Even just having the money sit there in your savings account while you breathe and just get used to it being there will be helpful, because there's a part of your brain that's primarily concerned with survival, which often means keeping things exactly the same. So that part of your brain might perceive this inheritance as a threat to your survival and be on high alert to get rid of it as quickly as possible to keep you safe. And as that part sees that you can survive having that money in your account, it becomes safe to have more money. So wait until you're in an emotionally resourceful place to make any big money moves. Now, it's time to make a plan for your money. The first thing you need to do is find out if you're gonna owe any taxes. An inheritance is typically not taxed like income. You often get a stepped up tax basis, but it's still a good idea to just check with a tax professional just in case and see if you're gonna owe any taxes. The next thing to consider is honoring the intentions of the person who left this money to you. What would they want to see you do with this money? What would they want for you? So those are things that you'll want to keep in mind as you create your plan. Now, in terms of how to allocate the money, it's really important to understand where you are in your financial journey, because what might be great advice for someone at one stage could be horrible advice for somebody at a different stage. One of my financial coaching clients received an inheritance before working with me, and a well-meaning friend told her that she should use that money to pay off her credit card debt. So that's what she did. And in some cases, and at a certain stage, paying off credit card debt can be a smart move. But in this case, my client wasn't at that stage yet. Her debt was a symptom of a larger problem. And using her inheritance money to pay off the debt temporarily treated the symptom, but it didn't fix the underlying problem. So the debt just came right back, but now her inheritance was gone. The thing is, there's a spectrum of financial experience, all the way from being in financial crisis and not able to cover your basic living expenses, all the way up to being totally financially free, living off the income from your investments, building wealth, and planning for the legacy you want to leave. So from one end of this spectrum to the other, there are 8 milestones that I call the path to prosperity. And as you reach each milestone, you experience more financial freedom. This doesn't necessarily mean that it has to happen in this exact order, but it helps to know what to focus on. Milestone number 1 is to become cash flow positive, which means that you're making enough money to pay your bills. If you're not already cash flow positive and you receive an inheritance, then you might really need some of this money to survive until you can become cash flow positive. Maybe you could even invest this money for passive income, and that would help you become cash flow positive. In fact, depending on the amount, maybe you could even generate enough passive income for you to be financially free, meaning that your passive income is more than your expenses, so you don't have to work for money if you don't want to. Here's a quick rule of thumb to figure out how much passive income you could conservatively expect. Most big box financial advisors use something called the 4% rule, which basically means that you should be able to sell off 4% of your investments to take as passive income each year without worrying about outliving your money. So if you receive an inheritance of $1 million, how you would do the math on that is $1 million times 0.04. And that would give you $40,000 for the year in passive income. If you divide that by 12, that gives you about $3,300 a month. If you're a more savvy investor and you feel like you could pull off 8% on your investments as passive income, then you would take $1 million times 0.08, and that would give you $80,000 for the year, or about $6,600 a month in passive income. Now, in terms of investing, I have to make a really important public service announcement here. Please keep in mind that you might have a lot of financial advisors pressuring you to hand all your money over to them to manage. But what you might not know is that the term financial advisor doesn't really mean anything. It's not tied to any specific credentials. There's a lot of people out there calling themselves financial advisors or financial planners who work for insurance companies and they're limited in what financial products they can offer. So even though they might have the best of intentions, they might recommend products that aren't the best fit for their clients because that's all they have available. That's all they're licensed to sell. So if you don't feel confident investing yourself, please, please, please don't rush out and hire your college friend or the person your parents have worked with for 30 years and really like. For now, run screaming from any private equity deals where you're writing a check or wiring money to someone else to invest the money for you. Because until you get a little more financial education under your belt, you won't know how to evaluate if someone is the right fit and if they're doing a good job. I had a session with a VIP financial coaching client who was very happy with the financial planner that she had been working with for years. Once she actually understood what he had recommended for her, she was like, why would he do this to me? Here's the thing, there's a difference between delegating and abdicating responsibility. Even if you have an amazing financial advisor, you and only you are the steward of your money. And when it comes to investing, whether with an advisor or on your own, the key to long-term success is to invest in an overall strategy first before you buy any specific investments. All that means is investing according to a plan based on real data that you can see with your own eyes for protecting, remember, capital preservation first, and growing your money. Because if you don't have a clear investment strategy, then investing is really scary. It just feels like gambling, like, who knows, right? I've worked with a lot of women who were so scared of losing their hard-earned money that they just kept their money in cash for years and years and years, which meant that not only was it not growing and working hard for them, they were actually losing money year after year to inflation. So it's important to learn how to follow a clear investment strategy. That way, you know what's going on with your money, you can tell if you're on track to reach your goals, and if you're working with a financial advisor, you can tell if your financial advisor is earning their keep or not. One mistake I see a lot of investors make is thinking that telling their financial advisor that they want something medium risk or something green and socially responsible is an investment strategy. Now, it's great if you only want to invest in green or socially responsible companies or funds as part of your investment criteria, but that's part of your criteria. It's not a strategy. And when investors say that they want something low or medium risk, what they actually mean is that they don't want to see a lot of what's called price volatility because it scares them to see the price go down. But there's a difference between volatility and risk, meaning the risk of actually losing money. So if you had a clear investment strategy and you saw that you could safely grow your money faster, even with some volatility, you could get your money working much harder for you, right? We do a deep dive on investment strategies at my Financial Freedom 101 online 3-day event. So if you want to understand investing better and be a good steward of your money, I highly, highly, highly recommend you join us. So if you're not already registered, go to financialfreedom101online.com to check it out. And in just 3 days, you'll get the essential financial education that you never got in school or at home growing up, and you will leave with the tools and money systems that you need to be financially free forever. Think about all the time you spent in school growing up and all the time you invested in getting your degrees, certifications, or business mentorship. Is 3 days an appropriate amount of time to invest to get the financial skills you need for the rest of your life? Yes, of course, right? This is one of the single best investments you could ever make for your financial future, so I hope you'll join me there. Then, if you decide you want to work with a financial advisor, invest 15 minutes in watching my free YouTube video on how do you find the right financial advisor. So you can see the link in the description or right up here. That can save you a lot of money, not to mention pain and suffering, for free. So again, click the link in the description or in the upper right of this video. Now, circling back to your path to prosperity. Milestone number 1 is to become cash flow positive. And you might even be able to skip ahead to milestone number 8 and become completely financially free. Either way, milestone number 2 is to pay off any high interest consumer debt that feels like a burden. A lot of well-meaning people will tell you that if you receive an inheritance, you should use it to pay off debt. But this is a big mistake because, as I mentioned before, debt isn't a problem, debt is a symptom. And if you blow your inheritance on treating the symptom instead of fixing the underlying problem, you're ultimately just gonna end up right back where you started, except now your inheritance is gone, like what happened to my client before she hired me. So there are two underlying problems that create the symptom of debt. The first one is not being cash flow positive, which is why that's milestone number one, and that's what you wanna focus on fixing first. The second one is not having the right money systems in place. If you don't have a clear system for cash flow planning, for example, you might actually be cash flow positive, but you have unconscious money leaks in your spending patterns that lead to debt. If you don't know how to do cash flow planning, that's another great reason to check out Financial Freedom 101, because you'll learn how to manage cash flow even if you have an irregular income that changes every month. So assuming you've fixed the underlying problems, then it can be helpful to allocate some of your inheritance towards getting rid of high interest rate debt or any debt that feels like a burden besides a mortgage, which we'll cover in just a moment. Then milestone number 3 is to have a reserve or contingency fund with 3 to 6 months of living expenses in savings as a cash cushion or safety net against life's unexpected curveballs. So if you don't already have that, you might want to allocate some of your inheritance to building that up. So those first 3 milestones are your financial foundation. That puts you in a really good, strong place. Once you have that financial foundation in place, things start getting more exciting and fun. Milestone number 4 is to save up for large purchases like paying cash for a car or a vacation without having to get financing. This also applies to saving up for a down payment on a home. Once you get to this stage, you might even choose to spend or invest up to 10% of your inheritance on a bigger splurge, like taking a trip. Then milestone number 5 is to save a percentage of your income towards retirement. If you're not already doing that, this is a great time to start. Milestone number 6 is to send your kids or grandkids to college without debt, if that's a goal of yours. Milestone number 7 is to own your own home free and clear and pay off the mortgage, if that's a goal of yours. And then finally, milestone number 8 is when your passive income from your investments is more than your expenses and you're completely financially free. So your inheritance could help you accelerate your progress there. Now, if you're already totally financially free and you still have more inheritance money, then you can invest it, spend it, or give it as you see fit. One more quick tip is that if you've received a large inheritance, you might want to meet with an estate planning attorney to create or update your estate plan so that your money is going where you want it to go if something happens to you. So there you have it. Go slow, get yourself in an emotionally resourceful place before making any big money decisions. Find out if you'll owe any taxes and if there are any intentions, rules, or restrictions around how you'll use the money, and then allocate your money according to which milestone you're on the overall path to prosperity, and then create or update your estate plan. With the right financial education and systems and strategies, an inheritance can be a huge blessing and really accelerate your path to financial freedom. That's what I want for you. So thank you for watching, and if you're coming to Financial Freedom 101, I look forward to seeing you there.